There are some places so sacred to us that you would never, ever consider developing them or building on them out of respect for fear of desecration. But that's exactly what one man's going to do. This 13-acre cemetery in southwest London, consecrated in 1865, has long been a place of peace. Until now.
No, here, go on.
It's a popular haunt of Justin, who lives in a Victorian terraced house nearby, with his dog, Thunder.
This is absolutely my every day, or twice a day, or 3 times a day walking spot. You know, being brought up in the countryside, this fulfills that little gap. But this one just happens to be on my doorstep. He's been chasing so many squirrels. And also when George was born, he's come with me and he learnt to read, reading the gravestones.
1902.
That's over 100 years old.
Justin's a former captain in the Scots Guards, a soldier used to taking life-threatening risks, deployed on missions to Iraq and Northern Ireland.
It's a high-risk job, but again, you don't think about it. You were just there, you had to do a job, and you were going to do it.
Now he leads extreme fishing expeditions to all 4 corners of the globe.
Anywhere from Argentina to Alaska to the Arctic Circle in northern Russia to India on a sort of remote atoll.
Yet it's here, in the suburban tranquility of a London graveyard, that Justin's embarking on perhaps his most epic, high-stakes mission yet. To make for himself and his 5-year-old son, over whom he shares joint custody, an extraordinary home out of this abandoned 19th century Gothic cemetery keeper's lodge, plus adjoining ex-council toilets, all within the boundary of the cemetery.
My wonderful ex-wife, we end up separating, and I thought, you know, now my life is in a bit of turmoil and chaos, and actually this is the one time I now have an opportunity to do something really off the beaten track, because I don't think I could have achieved that. And I wanted to change, to do something really special. Most people, if you're applying for your coat of arms, it's probably because you're pretty naff.
It's a bold, somewhat unconventional move, but one that makes perfect sense to Justin's cousin, Lady Catherine Maxwell Stewart.
It quite reflects a sort of vague eccentricity that does run through our family, and actually Justin does do some quite unusual things. He's led an unusual career path, taken a few sort of left of centre choices. I mean, I was quite surprised when I first heard about it, because yeah, I think I would find it a little bit creepy.
You're not alone, Lady Catherine. It's derelict, isn't it? It is derelict.
I mean, the roof's coming off, and I've got holes in just about every ground floor window. I'd always looked at this and thought, you know what a wonderful building.
And you're going to live here?
And I'm going to live here. I'm going to live here with my son, you know.
Seriously? Even though it's in a cemetery?
Yeah, absolutely.
Presumably this wasn't a burial site where we're standing. This was always just a garden, yeah?
I very, very much hope so.
Yeah. I mean, you've got lots of neighbours, but they're all dead.
I don't think of it as my dead neighbours. I think of it just as my neighbours.
Okay.
And come the witching hour, when they lock the gates to the cemetery,
Right.
then it really is my area.
Oh, right. So at night, okay, so when they lock the gates, okay, do you have access?
Yes, but again, that's one of the things which I love about it, because this really does become my little thing.
Your own
I shall walk around with my lantern, candle lit.
Being the honorary warden
absolutely.
of the graveyard.
Absolutely.
What are you planning to do here? Is it simply a resto job?
So the original bit of the house is going to be restored. My public facility is going to be demolished. But the footprint of where that has allowed me to have this very substantial extension and basement. And that takes the size of what I can build here from the 1,200 square foot up to about 4,800 square foot. Wow. And now that is a very substantial house. In the centre of it, you've got this rather sort of grand staircase diving down into the basement. It's got to be a grand castle sort of statement. And then my folly, which is a pool. So it runs the entire length of the side of a building. So I think we've got 13 metres, and have some serious fun in the house.
Well, thank goodness for indiscriminately placed 1960s public toilets, really, because that gives you your footprint, doesn't it?
It does. And had they built something even remotely pleasant, then of course this wouldn't be an option. Yeah. But they've produced something utterly disgusting.
A local architect worked up Justin's left-of-centre vision for a home here. The design is gargantuan. The neo-Gothic lodge is a building of merit, so it'll be properly repaired, while the toilet block gets demolished. Planning restrictions prevent Justin from building up, so instead he's digging down. 6 metres, just a metre or so from the nearest graves. This will form an enormous 1,300 cubic metre basement. It'll involve some excavation underneath the lodge itself, which, being built of heavy stone, will demand extreme care and dexterity. Above, a flat-roofed ground floor extension will connect to the side of the old lodge, giving a very generous 490 square metres of space. You'll get in from the adjacent main road via a gate. A hallway in the new ground floor extension will take you to a large kitchen and dining room, a snug to one side, and, passing by the moat, a sitting room. These spaces will all dramatically open out onto a courtyard garden. A remarkable staircase carved from Bath limestone will reinterpret the stonework of the lodge and be toplit by a dramatic abstract Gothic roof light. The staircase will lead down to Justin's playtime basement, full of surprises. A 13-metre swimming pool, a TV and games room, call it an officer's mess, and 2 bedrooms. The rest of the bedrooms will fit into the old Gothic lodge. 2 on the ground floor, one of which is for George, and upstairs a more luxurious main bedroom for Justin with a dressing room, bathroom and shower room. Subject to further planning permission, Justin hopes he can install a gate from his garden to the cemetery so he can explore the place whenever he wants, the lord of a very eccentric manor. Given where it is, there's a vast list of planning conditions to comply with, restricting machinery, working hours, access, noise, dust, all adding logistical headaches to an already highly ambitious project. But Justin's an army man, a logistics expert. He plans to finish in just 1 year. How much do you pay for it?
So I paid a whopping amount of money for a derelict house and a public toilets, 1.8 million, which is a staggering amount of money. But this is London property. This isn't property in the countryside.
How much are you expecting it's going to cost to do?
Thinking it's probably in the region of about 1.6 million.
That gives you a total of £3.4 million investment. Where does all that come from?
So that's a very good question. 60% of that came from my savings. I was then given a loan by my mother to cover the other 40%, which got us to the purchase.
So they got you 1.8 million.
So that got us there. And then I obtained mortgages against both this house and then against the house that I'm living in at the moment.
Okay, so you've raised 2 mortgages.
Yeah.
And that's going to cover the 1.6.
No, so we haven't quite got there yet.
Okay. How much money have you raised so far?
So we're on 1.2.
Okay.
In my mind, an enormous amount of fear and terror that I'm heading down a catastrophic financial black hole.
Look, you can understand, can't you, just how nervous Justin is about this project, given its scale, its size, its ambition. Yeah, all accepted. The thing is, though, he is a former soldier, and soldiers remain soldiers through and through, forever and ever. So, with a combination of that soldierly daring-do, military precision and focus, nothing should go wrong, should it? But go wrong it does, straight off the bat, with builders' quotes coming in way above the not insignificant £1.6 million Justin had budgeted.
4 million? What? I mean, I don't know what they thought I looked like, or if they'd, but, you know, 4 million?
Justin's quantity surveyor has been helping detail and reduce the enormous construction costs, but the revised budget remains stubbornly high.
2.1 million. I mean, it's ridiculous. So that was a bit of a shock, I have to say.
That's still £500,000 beyond expectations, before work's even started.
I haven't really quite worked out how to pay for the end bill. I just know that there's going to be a balancing equation between selling this and a larger mortgage, which I've got out, and working harder.
But closing the enormous gap in the budget is for another day. Justin is a risk taker and he is itching to crack on. Now. The first job is to demolish the old toilet block that sits just feet from the nearest graves. This is where the basement and ground floor extension will go.
And I mean, you know, what a fabulous feeling that we're finally going. We're off to the races. Come on.
The schedule's been extended from a year to a more realistic 20 months. 8 months for a specialist contractor, Piotr, and his team to demolish the toilets, then build the basement. 12 months for a separate contractor to fit out the new structure, as well as the old Gothic lodge next door. Justin's job means he spends much of his time abroad, so he's delegating the leadership here to his architect, and now project manager, Simon Gill.
It's a mixture of relief that we're finally getting going, but obviously anticipation of what is quite a complex project. We've got a number of quite tricky things to deal with.
2 weeks in, they start to excavate the huge 1,300 cubic metre basement. Delicately. What they don't want to do is dig up a grave. It's an exceptionally sensitive task that's led to an unforeseen problem for the contractor, Piotr.
Not everyone was happy to work in here, to be honest. It's difficult to find proper people to work. We have half of the team, they prefer to not work in here. They never say any like a proper answer why they don't want to be in here, but they say it's obviously they prefer to be somewhere else. So we respect this situation.
You can see why. Graveyards are resting places where we come to respect the dead and remember the past. If you want to understand why Justin wants to live here, you have to head 400 miles north to the Scottish borders. His family have lived in this ancestral home for 500 years, Trequare House, where his cousin Catherine currently lives.
This is what I sort of imagine a proper house to be. So what I'm trying to do with the lodge house is to create some of the character that you see all around you here. It's steeped in heritage. It is just oozing with age and character. One of them was slept in by Mary Queen of Scots. So this is the priest's room and, of course, the secret passage to escape. I would love to say that I could take the grandeur of a house which is hundreds and hundreds of years old. I guess that's the really tricky bit coming up, and I have to say I'm deeply apprehensive about how to achieve that. Thunder, calm down.
But right now, Justin doesn't want to encounter any heritage or ancestry on his project. Back on site, his immediate fear is finding a grave.
Go on, find it. Find it. He's going to find the first of my bones. I think one just has to be aware that, you know, when you're digging in a ancient site, worst case scenario is where you find Henry VIII for one of his wives or something like that. So we just need to get digging, and I don't want anyone else telling me to stop. Right, Thunder, that's enough. I don't want you uncovering anything in there. Come on, you're going to become a foundation. Thunder, I don't want you finding anything. Out.
If they do, they have to, by law, notify the authorities, kick-starting a process that could take months to resolve. And Justin doesn't want any delays to threaten his budget. Already an eye-watering £2.1 million. He'd better pray his basement isn't also someone else's resting place. Imagine if the sleeping souls of this tranquil cemetery knew that for the last 6 months, just feet away from their resting places, Justin and his contractor, Piotr, have been digging a huge hole alongside the old Gothic lodge.
Yeah, this reminds me, it's rather like visiting a sort of archaeological dig in the Valley of the Kings, this.
Thankfully, Justin's prayers were answered. They found no graves, so they can begin to build the basement walls in earnest.
Wow.
Here it is. Here's the depths. The depths.
Oh my word. I mean, looking up, we're there's something like 8 meters, isn't it?
This is deceptively deep.
The team are efficiently on schedule to finish the structural work in the allotted 8 months, leaving another year for the fit-out. And yet, Justin seems to have just thrown an enormous hole-shaped spanner in the works.
I've had a few design changes. What was supposed to be the basement alongside the house has now turned into a full dig underneath.
Underneath the building. Have you costed it?
No, not really. I mean, like all of these things, you know, in the digging phase, the cash is still here. That's fine. It's when it comes to the finishing, that's where I'm a little bit nervous.
This is not good. As it is, Justin's budget sits at a towering £2.1 million, £500,000 over his initial estimates. Any change will wreak havoc to the costings and the schedule.
Justin needs another £500,000 to finish this, to complete what he's starting, yeah? He doesn't have that. And to your eye, £500,000 is a huge sum of money. It's what a very lucky few would have to both buy the land and build a home. Not only that, he's extending it. He's going underneath, all the way underneath, the old building, which means that the project has now passed officially from the status of risky to bonkers.
Excavating right underneath the lodge means there'll now be space for an extra bedroom and a sauna and an even larger wine cellar. But supporting the extremely heavy stone-built structure with steel is proving really challenging. 3 months on, it's still not complete.
Normally, we're building basements underneath traditional English houses, which they mainly built from brick. So brick is obviously different material. In here we have stone.
Until all the supporting steel is in place, there's a serious risk that the neo-Gothic lodge, a building of merit, could collapse.
If we get any movement, then we need to start repairing the stone, which will be really expensive.
The delays inevitably come and pile on. 9 months in, work on the steel and concrete basement has hardly started, and it should be finished by now.
It's definitely frustrating. We would like to see the thing move further forward faster, and the steelwork has been a frustration.
It is 15 months before the shell of the basement and the ground floor steel structure is complete, a point at which Justin had thought he and George would be moving in.
So I had it in my mind that it would be a year and a bit, and that was miles out. I really don't imagine it being completed for another year from today, which is 15th of February.
The above ground and fit-out phase begins in April. Thank goodness they are out of the ground.
Hey,
Hi, how are you?
good. I thought we'd be finished by now.
So look, I look at this beautiful old building, which is now looking better of having that extension demolished, and I'm looking at this amazing new structure going up here, and I'm thinking to myself, that's enough for me.
It's enough for me. It just so happened that I was sitting on a plot which allowed me to do something else. You know, this was converting, you know, the available space and making real value out of it. Although I do wake up with a sort of cold sweat on going, have I made a massive error?
I can understand why Justin's nervous.
Oh, Lord.
The basement is on such a scale it doesn't feel like a home at all.
It's like being in the basement of some skyscraper or a car park. It's big because it's so tall. The house is above us.
Yeah.
Just here.
That entire house is being supported by these beams.
Steel posts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Given the sheer size of this place and the delays, one thing's clear to me. It's going to cost more than £2.1 million.
How much have you chewed through so far?
We are approximately at the $1 million mark to get to this point.
See, that seems quite good. What am I saying? It seems quite good value for a hole in the ground.
It seems like an expensive hole in the ground.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you spent $1 million so far. What's to come? Another 1.5?
I would say that's where I want to be. I mean, that was where I set the limit at.
So if I got my figures right, you bought it for 1.8 million. You might spend 2.5, which means total 4.3 million pounds total investment, including your fees and so forth. That's 4.5 million.
It is a number which I never ever imagined even contemplating.
So the obvious question is, do you have the cash to finish?
Very simply is no, I don't. But I will make it happen. I've gone too far into it. So it's a case of leveraging against other property and just trying to make it work.
Okay, but you've got the assets to leverage against. You've got the.
I hope so.
You really don't know where you're going to get the money from. How much are you short?
Maybe $1 million.
Wow. Okay. The general assumption about anybody who comes from a landed historic family is that there are resources there. But actually, the resources are often asset-rich, cash-poor.
Cash poor. You can't sell the family silver.
Yeah,
it's as simple as that.
You face exactly the same problems as any other self-builder, but on a slightly larger scale.
It's a slightly larger scale, yeah. I don't deny that, but the problems are as live, and they keep me awake at night in the same way as anyone else would.
Yeah, no, you're in too far now, mate.
Yes, I am, way too far.
So, just to be absolutely crystal clear, the only way Justin can finish is by taking on another £1 million of debt. You or I might imagine now is a good time to start tightening the purse strings. But Justin's style is gung-ho.
So the question is, why would I want to have a pool in my house? I mean, there's a perfectly good one at 10 minutes walk away. But I love swimming, and when I do go swimming, I swim a couple of 1,000 metres at a go. Call it a vanity project, or call it the most awesome design feature of the house, but it's going to make it quite different.
Over 60 tons of quick-drying concrete will be fired at high pressure into the swimming pool and trowelled flat before it dries, so there's no time to lose. As you might imagine for highly experienced London basement swimming pool installers, and they do exist, it's all in a day's work. But this one's a bit special.
The first swimming pool I've done in a graveyard, I'll give you that.
I've never built a pool in a cemetery before. It's just a bit spooky. It's a bit freaky, really, isn't it?
But not for Justin. He's been visiting this chapel near Dumfries in Scotland since he was a child. Beneath it lies a crypt, built in 1585, in which Justin's ancestors have been buried ever since.
You know, a lot of people have this sort of terrible concern that a graveyard would be a sort of scary place to live, spooky or whatever. But of course, you know, something like this, you know, it's something that is part of a family, and so it doesn't shock me. I think cemeteries are very important things, you know. I mean, it is somewhere where you come back and you feel the emotions of what has passed. I mean, certainly when I come in here and I see the plaque of my mother, I mean, that brings back incredibly strong emotions. And it's a very emotive place, and, you know, we want to maintain and look after it. And, you know, I suppose by extension, the lodge house, and to bring that back to life again.
This crypt helps explain Justin's connection to the cemetery and its beautiful graves, which his new home should allow him to visit whenever he pleases via a gate in his wall. But he's had some frustrating news from the council.
What I have been told is that this here opens out onto these graves, and this would cause offence to the people who inhabit those graves. But my issue is, over here, we have this wonderful feature, this ISO container, but the really interesting thing is where they have positioned their ISO container. I wonder if they consulted these people and if it offended them. And yet I'm being told my little gateway is unacceptable, and I'm really upset about it, bearing in mind I bought the lodge because of the access to the cemetery.
Oh dear. Every self-builder holds in their mind a few sacred things or ideas that make their homes special, and so it was for Justin with the gate to the cemetery.
It represents a kind of a huge damaging blow to the project. And the value, the personal, the emotional, the spiritual value of what he's trying to do here has been contained. And he'll be weighing up all the time what the project delivers and how much it has cost. And frankly, at 4.5 million quid, I think he's going to feel a little bit hemmed in now, isn't he?
It is exactly 3 years since Justin began this eccentric cemetery scheme. And only now have the council forbidden him using a gate that would have let him explore the graveyard after hours. He needs some good news. And it could come today, the day that sees the installation of 9 huge panes of glass into the ground floor extension and basement.
Big sheets of glass going in today. It's all systems go, I guess, so very exciting.
Not that it's easy. The 4 panes for the basement have to be manoeuvred through a tiny light well and past a makeshift bridge over the swimming pool.
Bridge over the River Kwai.
How much you weigh? What is an average bloke? 80 kilos?
Just as well as an experienced team full of banter, led by brothers Alan and Robert.
Yeah, do that. 40 years, bro. 40 years in the game, in the glass.
Well, I've been doing it for 40 years. You're a little bit...
Oh, you're a little bit younger than him.
35, isn't it?
Yeah, he's my eldest brother.
Yeah, our old man was, he had his own glazing business. We just followed on from him.
Not only have the brothers got 75 years of experience between them, but the latest in suction technology to help move the massive panes of glass.
As you can see, it's pretty brand new. This can lift double what this glass is, over 500 kilos.
Even so, what they do brings its dangers.
OK, boys, concentration, please.
If that fell on top of you, it would chop you in half, like a guillotine.
What's guillotine?
Remember when we talked about Mary Queen of Scots, your relation? Well, she had her head chopped off by someone with a guillotine, actually an axe.
We need all 8 pads sucking to make sure everything's safe. If none of the needles are moving, then it could be safe to lift.
But suddenly, there's a loss of suction.
What's that?
Not sucking at all.
No.
Not running, so let me
Right.
take it down, I'll take the battery off.
Machine's got a fault in it. We can't do nothing without our machine, so we'll just sit and wait until we get a new machine. So it'll be 2.5, 3 hours away.
If they can't install all 9 panes today, then Justin will have to obtain another permit to cover the crane in the graveyard. It could take weeks and cost thousands more. It's midday before the new suction machine arrives, and so now they have to race time itself to get all the panels in before the end of the day.
OK, it looks nice.
The first piece of glass, the largest, is for the ground floor.
A wooden block's down the bottom. There we go. That's glazed.
Job done.
But the next one, 2.8 by 4 meters and destined for the basement, won't be so easy.
There's a little bit of a tight hole.
Just the tiniest of nicks could shatter the whole sheet.
OK.
Steady, Jim, down you come.
There you go.
So far, so good. Next, the 300-kilo pane must be man-handled over the makeshift bridge.
Slowly, we come round. Come on, come round.
A 7-man job.
Come. Round we come. Right, hold it there. We are going to do it all in one hit. Lift slowly. Now lay it to me. Lay it to me. Lay it. Come on, lay it over to me. Lay it over to me. Keep coming. Keep coming. Keep coming. And in we come. In we come. Nice and easy. We're in.
Remarkably, despite the late start, the team manages to get all 9 panes installed by the end of the day.
So, yeah, job done.
But there are 4 light wells still to be glazed. Justin's uncharacteristically anxious that it'll be too dark down in the basement.
I have to say I'm a little nervous because at the moment we've got a situation where most of the light wells are covered up, but we're not getting that natural light in. So until the lid gets lifted off, it'll be difficult to know what it's going to look like. It's absolutely fundamental that we get this right. We're now very much at a phase where, you know, for the cost of a project is really starting to mount up. Is this financially making sense? Does it still make sense?
While it's quite normal for anyone to stress about money at this stage of a project, there's nothing that normal about Justin's £2.5 million budget, or his capacity to pay for it.
Last time you spoke to me, you needed to find another £1 million or something.
I have now gone back to the bank. I have remortgaged against this property. My other property across the road, I've taken out an additional mortgage on that. So that should allow me the funds to complete.
How much does it take your borrowing to, though, altogether? Is it scary?
1.95 million of loans on mortgage.
What happens if you need to spend another £100,000? Where does that come from?
This is all now kind of fixed in stone. It's hard to see unexpected. By the way, guys, you need another 100,000 to complete this. That's just not going to happen.
And there's a clap of thunder, dramatically, you know. I just hope the gods are with you here.
I'm not even going to entertain the idea that it's going to just jump by another 100,000.
Yeah.
So I have lost my tactical reserve, is what I'm saying. So I've pushed it to the edge. Not a great military situation to be in.
Yeah, no.
You have a reserve for a reason, and I have deployed it.
So the new tactical reserve of borrowing is 100% allocated. Any tactical reserve of time that he had has long been used up.
When did you first, get the house? And
It's so long ago, I can hardly remember, George. I can't even
10
remember
years
the
ago?
year. 4 years ago. And is it slightly boring? You like to be living there now?
I really would like to see.
So would I. You're not the only one. Because it's taken longer than I anticipated, George is significantly older. He's 8 now. He's now started at a boarding school, so he's full boarding, so he comes back every second weekend. So now, the house has got larger, but the usage requirements have changed because we've got this great big house coming up with a ton of space, and yet he's not going to be there all the time to make use of it. Oh, and he knocks it for 6 runs.
The logic for making this new home for him and for George may not stack up anymore, but Justin has to push on, regardless. As teams set about conquering the mighty interior, the stonemasons are building the great staircase in Bath stone that will connect the basement to the new ground floor. And in midwinter, the lightwell glazing goes in, including the great Gothic skylight above the staircase that Justin believes will banish his basement of darkness and spooks.
Are you touching all the way around the tape, bruv?
Yeah, we're good.
The Victorian Gothic lodge is repointed in lime and the stonework and roofs beautifully repaired. And construction of the moat begins.
What sort of person do you reckon has a moat in their house?
A knight or a king?
Or someone just eccentric?
And with similarly medieval skill, chainmail craftsmen are making a great iron curtain water feature to hang in pageantry over the pool.
Wow.
Yet, when the coronavirus pandemic hits, all work stops for 3 months. And most pressing for Justin is the impact coronavirus has had on his livelihood.
I can't imagine you're doing many fishing trips at the moment.
Yeah, so the last 3 months have been completely horrible. The travel business, I have spent my last 3 months solidly writing cancellation letters to people, asking if they could defer their trip. Creates an enormous amount of stress. And now all the pressures of trying to get this thing finished.
With interest payments on around £2 million of debt to make each month, I certainly wouldn't want to be in Justin's shoes right now. And it is still all to play for. I don't know if his madcap ideas and his passion for history will produce a building worthy of a Scottish dynasty, or one that just embodies pure folly. Autumn in this London cemetery has come and gone 4 times since Justin took on an abandoned lodge and an old toilet block on a journey in pursuit of big ideas about heritage, family and legacy. It drew heavily on his military training, but drained him of all his cash and assets. So has he pulled off this daring operation?
Oh. It's so sharp. It's great. You see, who'd have thought that a Gothic cemetery keeper's cottage could look so crisp, so vital. Oh, and it's got a brand new lavatory block.
The repaired Victorian Gothic lodge now sparkles as brightly as it did when first built, with fresh lime pointing and elegant new windows. Even the scalloped, almost heraldic inset panels have been restored. Next door, the extension expunges all memory of the mangy old toilet block with a dose of architectural glamour writ in gleaming glass and stone.
Hi, Justin.
Good morning.
How are you?
Wonderful, thank you. Very good to see you again.
Yeah.
And I feel I should be giving you a big man hug now, but instead, here we are.
I
at
know,
our distance.
long distance congratulations, because it's looking really sharp. Really, the old building, I have to say, it just looks well loved now, and it's so sharp. It's really good. New toilet block.
The new toilet block is fully assembled and functioning. I was always a bit nervous about the bath stone because it is a major expense in the whole thing, and there was a stage when it could have just been brick.
You've got to be chuffed. I mean, if it were brick, it really would look like a toilet block, 1. And 2, it wouldn't quite be what you wanted, which was to sort of make your mark, to make your ancestral home here, to kind of...
Solid stone, a permanence that will stay for many generations.
It's made of rock. You must be pleased.
I am delighted, I have to say.
How does it feel to be a lord of the manor of the cemetery now?
I wouldn't say lord of the manor, I would say the gatekeeper. Come on, have a look.
Little gem of a house.
The new front door turns out to be understated, sleekly tucked in between the Gothic lodge and the new extension. But once inside, you're led straight to the heart of the house, the great stone staircase at the centre of the building.
It's magnificent. There's something actually incredibly powerful knowing that this is made out of stone. The stone staircase, the stones in your family home are the same ages as these, 300 million years or something. It's glorious. It's beautifully crafted. The feel of that curve under the hand is something else. It sort of sends tingles through you. It's so exceptional to find in the centre of London. And it's such a good shape. It's so good. And it just plonks itself, just sits right over this light wall. Is the rest of the building any good? Is it going to be a letdown from here on?
Come on,
have a look. Oh, wowza. It's very, very good. What's glorious is the space and the light and the view and the connection to the garden.
The non-London view of the trees and stuff like that, and you would never know you're in the middle of London.
And the colours in this building, because tell me about the blue. There's a lot of that colour.
But of course I spend a lot of time on the water, and I'm always looking at rivers and the sea and stuff like that, and I find that very comforting.
Ocean going, Justin, rather than the heritage heirloom, Justin.
I have been waiting and waiting and waiting for this moment when I could get my hands on this house. A tear almost came to my eye yesterday when I was looking at a certain viewpoint.
Almost.
Military, I can't really be shown to do too many tears.
Beyond the kitchen diner is a comfortable timber-lined snug, from which you can still glimpse the courtyards.
Come and have a look at the other half.
And Justin's top-end water feature.
Quite aristocratic, isn't it, to have a moat? Let's face it.
Well, not many people do, and I rather like the idea of...
I bet you do.
Yeah.
Very grand to have this kind of expressed large timber ceiling.
And I think it makes it a very comfortable, livable room. It's to enjoy the outside, to enjoy reading a book, to really relax into the house.
great.
And I think I'm absolutely delighted with this room.
Yeah, you've got your 20th century equivalent to the baronial home. You've got your moat, you've got your baronial staircase, heraldic devices, turrets and...
I believe I have.
But head down into the basement and the tone is not so much baronial as playboy bachelor, with a cavernous wine cellar under the Victorian lodge, a spacious TV room with its own bar, and most extravagant of all, the 13-metre-long swimming pool.
So this is amazing. This is like being in a private members club. You know, I have something to say about that, which is that it's kind of super bling. It's sort of brilliant in a way.
It is good sort of medieval chain mail. Is exactly what it is.
Medieval chain mail waterfall. This is the kind of Uber man cave, isn't it? You've got a cellar full of your wine, you've got a massive play space, and you've got a swimming pool. And I'm expecting any moment for you, and this building indeed, to pull another trick, and you just swing open the door, and there's a casino, you know?
Yeah, well, actually, now you mention it.
Oh, yeah, right, let's go find it.
Don't test me.
Yeah. I'm sure there's something somewhere.
In fact, bedrooms occupy the remainder of the basement, 3 in all. The most splendid digs in this home, though, are to be found back upstairs in the original Victorian Gothic lodge. Here, on the ground floor, are 2 more bedrooms, one of which is George's, and a bathroom. While upstairs is Justin's accommodation, redolent of a luxurious country house hotel. It's a far cry from the semi-derelict structure that was here a few years ago. Thanks to the architect Simon Gill and his team, this unloved corner of a cemetery has been elevated to a 21st century baronial masterpiece. But by gum, the cost of pulling it off, it's worth a king's ransom.
Let's cut to the chase. So, you're all in now for how much? 4.5 million?
Yes.
So you've just about scraped in?
Yeah. I mean, scraping in at 4.5 million. I mean, it's not a figure that I'm comfortable with, but it was a roller coaster once I started.
Yeah.
You know, you dig a big hole, you've got to fill it up again. Yeah. So it has been, I would say, a terrifying financial roller coaster.
Can't believe that if you'd known it would cost 4.5 million and take 4 years, you would have ever have started.
Never have started it. I thought it was a quick 2-year turnaround maximum. Before George had disappeared off to school and stuff like that, I thought we'd be enjoying it here.
But how's he now? I mean, knowing that it's done, I mean, he must be excited.
Extremely excited now. He certainly has his eyes in the swimming pool. Just wants to get all his mates around straight away.
There is the uncomfortable fact, however, that it is big. You know, what you've made is a very large building, but at the moment it's just you and George. I mean, and actually it's just you most of the time.
Well, I was very aware of that, but I have found somebody very special. And I would like to introduce you to her right now.
No, she's here. It's great.
Hideko.
Hi.
Let me introduce you to my wonderful girlfriend, Hideko.
Hideko, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
And you indeed. How are you?
Very good. Thank you
Good.
very much.
Well, I think it's just so wonderful to have the pair of you enjoying it together. That's beautiful.
We met as a drinks function. Hideko is a professional chef.
I'm so proud of what he's done here. Can't believe how much he put effort into this project.
Hideko, listen, living next to a cemetery, it obviously doesn't freak Justin. You? Does it worry you in any way?
I feel a little bit scared, especially in the night, a little bit. But having like Justin, really nice. That would be
Quite
really
nice. Like a Justin or somebody else.
Very good.
Just anyone, basically.
Yeah, it's just really nice. So more fun, enjoyment.
Long may you enjoy this house.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
We will enjoy it.
This project plays the long game. The house can wait for Hideko to get used to it. After all, it waited 4 long years to be completed, and it looks like it's going to stand here for many generations to come as Justin's legacy.
So, this is what £4.5 million buys you. Having said that, I think it's worth it, really. I mean, look, for that sum, you get the ancient and the crumbling, you get the modern and the sleek, you get the mysterious and the cozy, you also get the spacious and light, you get water, you get glass, you get the liminal and the beautiful, you get fantastic craftsmanship, and you get jaw-dropping architecture. Oh, and on top of this ready-made tapestry of ideas, Justin has already been able to begin stitching the next part of his family's story with George and now with Hideko. Now that represents amazing value to me. That's priceless.